when Russian Defense Minister Belousov proudly announced that two brand-new Tu-160M strategic bombers had officially joined the Aerospace Forces, while the first S-500 missile regiment was also about to enter combat duty. We couldn't help but ask, does this sudden progress signify that Russia has truly restored its full strategic bomber production capability, or is it merely a tentative step on the long road to recovery? Particularly surprising is that the Tu-160M project, which had previously disclosed almost no details about its test flights, achieved the leap from prototype to service in a remarkably short time. The story behind this is far more complex and convoluted than what meets the eye. The Tu-160, dubbed the Black Jack by NATO and affectionately known as the White Swan by Russians, has captivated global attention since the Soviet era, with its elegant variable sweep wing design and formidable long-range strike capabilities. Yet its path to modernization has been anything but smooth. Years ago, Russia made multiple attempts to modernize the Tu-160, only to face repeated setbacks due to technological gaps, funding shortages, and the collapse of its industrial base. A turning point arrived in January 2018 when, witnessed by President Putin himself, the Russian Ministry of Defense and Tupolev signed a landmark contract to produce 10 brand-new Tu-160M bombers over the next decade, with a total contract value of 160 billion rubles, equivalent to approximately $2.5 billion. This was not merely an order, it was a solemn declaration of Russia's commitment to revitalizing its strategic aviation industry. 4 years later, in January 2022, the first Tu-160M prototype took to the skies from the Kazan aviation plant, successfully completing its maiden flight, an event that drew widespread international attention. However, just 1 month later, the Russia-Ukraine conflict erupted. The intense fighting forced many long-term programs, including strategic weapons projects, into a low-key mode, and news about the Tu-160M gradually faded from public view. It wasn't until December 2023 that then Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu spoke again, revealing that 4 Tu-160Ms were ready for delivery to the military. In February the following year, President Vladimir Putin personally confirmed the completion of their delivery. According to officially released footage, these 4 aircraft bear the red tail numbers 06, 07, 22, and 23. Among them, Red 06 and 07 were extensively upgraded from older Tu-160S in storage. Red 22 was the original prototype that made its maiden flight, later optimized and incorporated into the production line, and the most notable Red 23 was described by Russia as the first airframe entirely manufactured independently by the Russian Federation, no longer relying on Soviet-era semi-finished products for stockpiled components. This statement is crucial as it suggests Russia may have re-established the Tu-160 airframe production line. The 2 new models announced for delivery by Minister Belousov this year are likely the first 2 from this group to complete all testing and achieve operational capability. If they indeed belong to a newly manufactured batch, it sends a strong signal. The Kazan production line has restarted, and the knowledge base accumulated during the Soviet era, covering design, materials, and assembly techniques for large variable sweep supersonic bombers, is being painstakingly but tangibly reactivated after a 30-year hiatus. Russia's investment of such enormous resources, not only financial capital but also critically scarce senior engineering talent and industrial capacity, to revive the Tu-160M reflects ambitions far exceeding the mere production of 10 aircraft. Industry consensus holds this as fundamentally a training ground and life extension process. By rebuilding the Tu-160M production and upgrade system, Russia preserves the strategic bomber R&D team's expertise, accumulates experience in modern avionics, new materials, and advanced manufacturing techniques, ultimately targeting the next-generation stealth strategic bomber PAK-DA. Thus, Russia's envisioned future strategic airstrike system presents a clear tiered structure. The PAK-DA stealth bomber, outperforming the US B-2A, serves as the spearhead and core. The modernized Tu-160M, with its strong penetration capabilities, acts as a high-end supplement and hypersonic weapon carrier, while the ever-reliable Tu-160Ms, leveraging its unmatched endurance and integrated long-range cruise missile capability, will undertake routine strategic patrols, regional deterrence, and standoff strike missions. This is a theoretically forward-looking plan, but the greatest uncertainty lies in whether Russia can successfully complete the critical transition from the Tu-160M to the PAK-DA. The current Tu-160M upgrade focuses primarily on its power plant, a fully glass cockpit, modern digital avionics, advanced electronic warfare suites, and weapons management systems, enabling it to launch hypersonic missiles like the Kinzhal. However, its aerodynamic platform remains unchanged and lacks stealth capabilities. Essentially, it is a deeply modernized product born from a 1970s design, not a revolutionary breakthrough. The technological barriers for stealth bombers are extremely high, involving numerous cutting-edge fields such as aerodynamics, materials, air intakes, coatings, internal weapon bays, and sensor fusion. Following the Soviet Union's dissolution, Russia's accumulation and development in these areas have been uneven. Take the Su-57 fighter jet as an example. Its stealth design and the reliability and maintainability of its stealth coatings have consistently faced external skepticism. Scaling these still immature technologies to a larger strategic bomber platform with fundamentally different flight characteristics presents challenges that increase exponentially. The Russian Aerospace Forces are evidently aware of these risks, reportedly developing a contingency plan. Should the PACDA program face severe delays or insurmountable technical hurdles, they would undertake a major upgrade of the existing Tu-160 fleet and produce additional Tu-160Ms. These would form a non-stealthy dual-core strategic force, alongside the Tu-95Ms, ensuring at least a minimal strategic deterrent in both quantity and quality. However, this backup plan appears extremely costly. Reviewing the 2018 contract, each Tu-160M costs approximately $250 million. While this appears cost-effective for a heavy strategic bomber, it represents a massive sum for Russia, whose defense budget faces dual pressures from long-term sanctions and war expenditures. Continuously investing limited resources into a non-stealth platform would inevitably divert funding from critical areas like fighter jets, transport aircraft, early warning systems, and unmanned aerial vehicles. Russia's aerospace forces currently face multifaceted pressures to modernize their equipment. How they navigate these choices will test their strategic resolve. Reviving the Tu-160 is not merely about resuming production of a weapon platform. It is crucial for maintaining the aerial pillar of Russia's nuclear triad, and serves as both a symbolic and practical tool indispensable to preserving its status as a major power. However, the cost-benefit ratio of this path remains contentious. Whether refurbishing the mothballed Admiral Nakhimov nuclear-powered cruiser, accelerating construction of Boreim and Yasenim-class submarines, or now restarting the Tu-160M production line, these projects carry a strong aura of reviving Soviet glory. Technically complex, prohibitively expensive, and protracted in execution, these initiatives may offer limited direct utility in a large-scale conventional conflict in the near term. They appear trapped in a cycle of high investment yielding moderate returns, yet Russia's decision-makers evidently view this as a necessary price to pay for securing the cornerstone of the nation's long-term security and strategic autonomy. Thus, Belousov's announcement marks not an endpoint, but the beginning of a new phase. The commissioning of Tu-160Ms signifies a solid stride toward restoring Russia's independent strategic bomber manufacturing capability, demonstrating its aviation industry's capacity to overcome complex systems integration under extreme hardship. Yet claims that stealth bombers are just one step away may be overly optimistic. That final step lies in materials science, stealth design systems, achieving full supply chain autonomy, and securing sustained massive funding. The successful revival of the Tu-160M has accumulated invaluable experience, talent, and confidence for this leap. Yet whether Russia ultimately crosses this threshold will depend on its national strength over the coming years, the luck of technological breakthroughs, and its resolve to maintain long-term strategic investments amid a harsh geopolitical environment.